North Korea just threatens to annihilate the United States of America. And Medvedev once more threatens to use nukes. He said that if these Ukrainians are successful with their counteroffensive and get behind Russian lines, that Russia would have to use nuclear weapons. And on top of that, the Chinese are actually in what looks like the final phase of preparations for the last of 3 exercises that they would want to do before they actually were to invade Taiwan. It looks like they're getting ready for something. And oh yeah, just and that's the things we'll be talking about now. But oh yeah, just add to that, if you haven't already heard, the case with the biolab discovered in California, they act in Fresno. They actually had like 1,000 rats in there, and it turns out some of them were genetically engineered to carry the well, I can't say the actual word because of the platform. Let's just say they're Cerveza beer bug, that little bug that caused a lot of people to have to get these in very recent times. So, guys, these this apparently was not a research lab. Oh no, apparently this was an attack lab. If you look at these rats, apparently they were prepared to be vectors to transmit, not to be tested. So maybe the test had already taken place in higher, more sophisticated laboratories. Yeah, genetically engineered to carry a bug. Yeah, does this in the fact that their addresses were like shell addresses and shell companies, and they trace back, although they didn't chase back to Dragon Country. So what in the world is going on, guys? You know, that when you look at that, you look at Volt Typhoon, all this software malware from China that's been discovered all over defense and industry stuff that we got. Yeah, I think China, they're getting ready. They're definitely want to be ready to do something. It looks like they're getting ready to make a move. Well, yeah, and the Air Force has said, yeah, we're going to, we got to have our guys ready in 2 years. Did they have 2 years? Yeah, we'll talk about that too. All right, guys, it's our world's getting crazy right now. And if you're not getting ready, if you're not getting prepared, what are you doing? I highly encourage you to go ahead and look at planting a fall garden. Go to True Leaf Market. Use my links below. You know, you need to be growing stuff. You need to start practicing. The fall garden is one of the best gardens you can have because winter squash lasts for a long time. You can do your lettuce, and you can also do green onions, which can overwinter in many places. Plant your garlic, let it overwinter in most places. So these are all things you can be doing. Anyway, guys, let's get on with these stories. Just today, the foreign minister of North Korea pledged to annihilate, as I said, the United States, and that it would be destroyed in this century. But then he had his little qualifiers that he also said. But the diplomats from North Korea issued a statement on the 70th anniversary of the armistice that ended the Korean War. It didn't really end it; it just ended the hostilities. So let me rephrase that. But anyway, they said, should the U.S. choose to offend our republic, we will annihilate them by all our military power that we've gathered so far. Okay, that's kind of a little bit of a discombobulation because they said they would end us by the end of the century, and yet they make an if statement like that. So maybe it's the if statement is if we do anything now, but by the end of the century, yeah, they want to take us out. So guys, this is crazy talk. But then again, you got to consider the kind of things that Kim Jong-un has done, like he to his own people a lot. So this is not a guy who has empathy, if you know what I mean. It makes the country unstable, dangerous. So we've got to pay attention to them. He anyway, he went on to say the Korean War in the last century marked the beginning of the downfall of the U.S. Really? Anyway, now the 21st century would see the irrevocable determination of the U.S. The rulers of the U.S. are advised to forget and on no account forget the lessons of history. Okay, so they reiterated, that they plan to end our country this century, yet we're not supposed to forget the lessons of history. I don't know, it's kind of nonsense. But anyway, well, what Medvedev had come out and said, Medvedev's, like I said, he said, hey, if Ukraine succeeds, we got to use the nukes. If they succeed with their counteroffensive and do the things they're claiming to do, because Russia has already claimed the Donbas region, hence Donetsk, Crimea, and some of the oblasts that connect Crimea to the Donbas region, in southeastern Ukraine. They've already supposedly said these oblasts, that's governance regions, kind of like states or counties, like bigger than counties. It's like states. He said these oblasts are, they've said those oblasts are now a part of Russia. They annexed them. They declared them to be Russia. So part of this may be saving face. I don't know, guys. Of course, Medvedev is known to rattle the saber, but this does fit within I've read it up. I looked it up. I went to the Kremlin site and showed you guys what their policies are for the use of nuclear weapons. And this fits, actually, if that's how they want to interpret it. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. You tell me what you think. But anyway, so China seems to be getting ready to actually invade Taiwan, perhaps. They've got these transport exercises, which suggest that they're preparing to invade Taiwan. The Chinese media reported on July the 23rd that the Chinese Navy had just completed a cross-sea troop transport exercise using a 23,000-ton civilian roll-on, roll-off, what's called RORO ship. It was the Chang Sha Dao. Now, Chinese is somewhat far from perfect, so forgive me if I mispronounce some of these, okay? Anyway, they used it to transport a variety of Chinese and military vehicles, including off-road tactical vehicles, wheeled infantry fighting vehicles, and jeeps with a large number of troops. The People's Liberation Army had already finished 2 of the 3 significant military dress rehearsals required for a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Like I said, they really had 3 things they wanted to do. A successful invasion of Taiwan's main islands would be demonstrated to Xi Jinping and the Central Military Commission of China at the last big PLA rehearsal, which they apparently have scheduled to come up this August. So, they've got to demonstrate their capacity to do this. But these drills play a key role in Chinese Communist Party's overall overarching scheme to annex Taiwan by force. Now, these ships, these RORO ships, are commercial, but they have doors and ramps in their bows and stern to allow combat vehicles, equipment, and troops to both exit and enter the ships, and without them having to turn around. So they just go straight in, straight out. These civilian RORO ships are considerably increased China's capacity for the naval potential operations of a landing exercise. So what it is, guys, is, they're not just using military vehicles for this. And I think I mentioned this even back a couple of years ago. They were planning to develop a civilian fleet to carry their landing exercise. And that's what it looks like they've done. And they've just practiced it in a limited way. But apparently they're about to do a whole full-blown exercise. So according to one source, the groundwork for a significant amphibious landing is underway right now. It has been predicted that China will find a pretext for this fall to hold the 3rd and final dress rehearsal to confirm their ability to attack Taiwan. Beijing was putting the pieces in place for this final rehearsal after they completed the 2 previous ones. The first one that China military practiced, the People's Liberation Army, and of course they used their Air Force and Navy, which is the People's Liberation Army Navy plan. Kind of a funny string of words, but anyway, their first exercise was back in August of 2020. You might remember when after Pelosi went to Taiwan, they just they were throwing everything at Taiwan. Anyway, their second practice was an anti-air raid campaign that apparently they did just this past April under the guise of something they called the Joint Sword 2023. In each instance, the CCP justified these provocations by claiming that Taiwan's independence forces had met with the Speaker of the House of Representatives and then later, Kevin McCarthy, respectively, and they used these pretexts as for carrying out their practice drills for invasion. So anyway, China's military conducted the largest air missile maritime exercise around Taiwan to date back in that August of the 4th to the 7th of August in 2022. The exercise utilized coordinated use of space, cyber, air, army, and Navy forces to test China's joint operations, or joint force operations. The space was the communication satellites, the recon, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, the firing of 11 ballistic missiles surrounding Taiwan was a primary component of that first strike practice. You might remember they were shooting these missiles right over Taiwan. Anyway, 232 Chinese combat aircraft were used during the combined SWORD, which just took place, which was the most impressive deployment yet. So the days of that exercise, not all in one day. Anyway, the Chinese Navy aircraft carrier, that Shandong, operated just east of Taiwan, providing air control cover for Taiwan's eastern shore with an unprecedented 134 aircraft crossing the center line of Taiwan Strait during the exercise. Yeah, a joint island landing exercise test campaign is the last significant part of China's plan to invade. And they think they will do this test on another nearby island before they actually go, to do an invasion. They'll actually do an island landing exercise. That's what's expected. Some people think they'll do it in August because the Chinese has one of the candidates for president that's planning to visit in South America and the United States during that time frame. And so that will make a great pretext for it. I would submit they might do that then, but they might also do it a little bit later for looking for a calmer sea state, more toward September or something like that. Although it could just be right close into their island, so they wouldn't have to deal with the sea states across northern Taiwan Strait entirely. There's only a couple of months a year that you actually want to cross the Taiwan Strait if you can help it, not do it when the sea states are worse. Anyway, U.S. Air Force personnel have been instructed to get ready for a conflict in China within the next 2 years. A senior U.S. Air Force general has prepared his troops and warned that a conflict with China may start as little as 2 years. Really? It may be sooner. I hate to tell them. As tensions over Taiwan and Russia rise, U.S.-China ties reach a new low, according to General Michael A. Minahan, and he warned of an impending clash. Washington has been warned that Beijing's meddling in Taiwan's destiny is the first red line, but the White House has threatened to intervene if China tries to annex the island with its claims of sovereignty by force. Anyway, General Michael A. Minahan predicted that such an event might occur by 2025. I don't know why I keep thinking 2025. This kind of connected to the presidential election. We'll be over by then. We'll have a new president in place, maybe, possibly. Maybe somebody who wouldn't be quite as weak. So I think they might want to do it before then. So I kind of take a lot of difference with some of the things they're claiming, especially in light of the training and all the other preparations that seem to be taking place. And you got to remember the last thing that China really needed was a massive way to get a lot of their vehicles across, and the civilian RORO, roll-on, roll-off vehicles, are the kind of platforms they need to do that. But anyway, he sent this out to his people back in January, but the document he did say, I hope I'm wrong, but my gut tells me the fight will be in 2025. Maybe, possibly, it could be sooner. I'm thinking spring of 2024. Definitely sometime before our elections, what I'm thinking. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Very much hope I'm wrong. But guys, maybe we'll be able to dissuade, or somebody will dissuade China from making a big move like this, because a lot of people think that China's going to pull some moves to try to preemptively neutralize America's either capacity to respond or willingness to respond. Maybe bring us down to our knees completely, pull all our power, Yeah, cause disease outbreaks here. God knows what else. Attack our infrastructure with all these sleeper cells they put in. Like I said, it already looks like China's already at war with us. So it's just war without the flying lead at the moment. Anyway, but you know, one policy expert warned about the Chinese Communist Party's fast war preparations and America's lack of them after China displayed its military powers this past weekend. Yeah, Gordon Chang, I put it in before, guys, a senior scholar at the Gatestone Institute, stated on Fox News that there's only one president who can do something about it, and that's the current one. That's because he's the president right now. And that's the only reason. Anyway, but he followed up and said, and he's not. He doesn't have a sense of urgency, which means the Pentagon doesn't have a sense of urgency, and China does. That was his quote. And he went on to say, the point is, these guys in Beijing are ready to go to war, and we're not. Interesting points. Very interesting points, guys. So that's why I tell you guys to get ready. That's why I tell you guys to prep. We don't know what's coming. You know, the only thing clear about my crystal ball over here is it can shine a light through it. Seriously, guys, we're in very serious times. All this stuff, you know, especially those labs. We don't know how many more labs like that there is, like the one they found in Fresno. We have no idea how many vectors there. The only reason we discovered that lab in Fresno was because a code inspector happened to see a hose sticking out of the side in the apparent way that violated code, and he just decided to inspect. That warehouse was supposed to have been empty, and it was chock full of boxes that were shipped from Dragon Country. No, yeah. And they found bodily fluids. They found blood, human blood. They found all those critters, some of which had passed away. And it was a ungainly, messy place, apparently. Supposedly it was a lab, but I think it was more of an attack lab than a research lab from what I've seen and heard about it in the news that keeps breaking on it. So that's even more concerning. That, the viruses, the supposedly Chinese special forces, all those young military age men coming into America, as soon as they get here, they're practicing with their bang bang poles. Yeah, they seem to get them real quick, and they're off to the ranges. Interesting. You know, I did my videos on about the vulnerabilities of our dams. That's just one point in our infrastructure. It's a very important one. I've talked a lot about our power grid. I've talked a lot about sleeper cells. China's not the only country that apparently has sleeper cells in this country. There's indications that North Koreans may, and there's indications, and that may be part of what North Korea is talking about. There's also indications, well, actually, no indications. The Iranians have come flat out and said they had sleeper cells in the United States, 20 of them. And that was like, you know, almost 10 years ago. At least 9 years ago. That's when they said that. So, guys, get ready, get serious, get your preps going. Go out and do some practicing if you can with some of your preparation activities. Do what you can, get ready. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you've not already done it. Bang the update notification bell, click all, and share. Most importantly, share this content with other people. I mean, a lot of people think, nothing's, I care all the time, nothing's ever going to happen, nothing does. But look at the things that have happened already. Look at the buildup, the crescendo of things coming. It doesn't look pretty. To those who got their eyes wide open and head on a swivel, like most of you do, things don't look pretty. But somehow we got to wake up our friends and family. The more of them that's prepped, the less of them that's going to be leaning hard on you. Or maybe some of your friends and neighbors might decide you look like a pork chop, long pork. That's not what you want. The more people that are prepped, the better off we are. Get the food preps up, store the food, and have your gardening going on. You might even buy seeds and hoes and rakes for your neighbors so they can garden too. That's what I did. They're in my garage. I did a video going to Lowe's and buying extra tools. Yeah, I did that. Guys, seriously, you got to take a lot of things into account. And you can check out prepwithgreg.com. The special prices there with the rice prices and everything going up ain't going to last long. We've already having panic buying for that stuff in this country. Prices are shooting up. As soon as they replenish their supplies, I expect those prices to go way up too. Anyway, guys, Thank you very much for watching. Greg out.